So you saw already here I already opened my projects. That's how I already did some screencast about how can you integrate sorry, Visual Studio Code, and then after that you build your projects from Angular CLI, and then and integrate the all respective dependencies into the models. So if you just follow the previous screencast about from 35.1 up to dot 14 is there. So now at the time I can say here the development started as a presentation it was, and then you see so in the normally the one Angular application, you already know the application directory, and then that's why I did it as like I said in the last screencast. There's a professional concept to build the application. So you see the application, there is a components. That means I put it all the components. Maybe I need components like 5 or 10 components. You see the address components, you see the building components, floor components, and GIS data components, header and footer components, and the map components, and map overlay components, OL maps, and plots components, all the components, and you use the registration components, and then you all the models that you need to into the applications. So models here, I see the models, all the models. Maybe for my case, for the complete enterprise application models, I need the address information for some address, storing the address information, and then you see that here the our detailed information where our address is located, like address type, city, road type, housing, and postal code, and postal country, and then geometry type means you when you store. This is the one of the most important part I will need to discuss when I did the REST API deployment, how I did into the I did this development into the Spring Boot and Spring Hibernate Spatial, how we stored the geometry directly into the PostGIS and PostGIS database. I will show you when I did the REST API developments or REST API call here. Sorry. So you see that the models, then which model we are talking about today. This is the most important models that I said. Here is our models. This is the models I said my presentation. The which information into the when you open the maps, which information you try to open, and which information you need to be try to see into the maps. That means when you click one of the specific plots, and then you can see the detailed information, what's the plot ID, address information, type of plots, and even though total area of the plots and total number of building covers. Let's say if you have a plots like really big plots, it has a 5 buildings. That means you register your plots first, and then you register each of the buildings. That means when the some city authority see, okay, this is the plot is owner of person X, he has a, and this plot has a 4 buildings, and then this is buildings is owner maybe his son or her son or her daughter, or doesn't matter, or any company name. So this is the information when you try to store into the your database, in the PostGIS database. And in this case, we will call the REST services and build a do the CRUD operation. That means create, update, delete, and read operation for this respective object. So here we have an address information object that I said. Here is our building information object, and then means on the model. Here the geometry information models and GIS information models, exactly the same. There's object inside as input parameter, input object. Here is a plot, and here is a registration object. So this is the one of the important registration object. Now here is the registration object. This is the test cases. So you see the if you try to register person of the owner or person of the system application, system user for the applications, you see the registration ID, and it has address ID. This is the address ID referred to the where the doesn't matter is the owner of the buildings or plot or floor or unit, or owner or the user of the user of the applications, depending. So this is the address ID, and it address ID has a geographic information where this person or board is located. So registration, first name, last name, middle name. This is the part I will show you later when I did the a really Angular front-end development with the template forms or reactive form, doesn't matter, which I will show the all the development. That's why it's take really more screencast. But this case today I try to give it to you how your models, your specific models is presented, how build your models into the maps, or with these models how you can build your geometry into the maps and give it to your model into the maps, into the your features, means your geometry features. So this is not too important today. And this is a user role. This has a role type when the user created, and there is a service packet. This is that's I said this is the only the professional way to do. So you have a components, that means you put it all component into the one directory, in folders, and then you put it all the models into the folders, and you put it all the services. That means you need a service and then service implementation, maybe you some interfaces into service here and implementation classes. Another thing, as it is not very special, as there's a default application settings, and you have a routing setting. That's how you already talk about this detailed information. And there's the asset folder. You put the internationalizations in different languages. I had here English and German and French, and then your resource allocation, the bits I have two layouts, and to put it here, the resource allocation, and so on and so forth. That's how this part I already discussed about the last screencast. Let's have a start to how our maps, our geometry is built into the programmatically into the maps. As I said, this is the virtual one of the example, but in the end of the day, we will read the data from the database, or we store the data into the database and read the data in here and put it into the maps. That's the idea for this one. So I here give it to how you can make a geometry here in the mock-up geometry, and how you integrate the geometry. If you have a data, you can just put it, just iterate through this data, build the maps. That's the idea. So I will give it to you how you can do it. So that means I build already the one components, one map components. You see the map components automatically. Everybody knows how can I build the map components. Just like down, yes, like NZ Z components, then a C component, and give it to your respective folder names, the name maps, and then you give it to your component name like maps, and then you say map components. So it's build the map component automatically and put the necessary. This is a builder. When you try hit this one, or did it hit this one, it's created these four folders, or the 4 files. One files is the HTML files, and then that means view files, and use styling files SCSS. I use SCSS. You can CSS, doesn't matter. And this is the testing purpose. This is your class, your STM, the TS class, and it will automatically inject that your module into here. This is most one of the important part. When you CLI this command running, it's automatically inject your map component into your app.modules. That's it. I already talked about that one detail about. Just look for the previous screencast. So here's how we build our components, and then we need what you need to be, what classes you need. I just like condense or summarize all the information. What will be the in the future, what's the classes I need to be use my complete application. But you see the some colors is a highlighted color and non-highlighted colors, and then you dark colors, which one is already used and which is not used here. So all the classes and methods what I need into at the moment my applications, I use it here. I import all necessary import, and I declare something here. So I did declare some interface here to give some data into the models. You see this component models, and this is class definition, and so on and so forth. This is the one of the methods. You can also that's I said you can also load the tile maps from this here. The example is like from Bangladesh, the center of the capital city Dhaka. You can locate this one, and you can upload how many tile maps you need to load it for your application. The styling information, basically I'm talking about this one. Load maps from OSM directly, and features services. So what we did, we have a like mouse pointer. That's what I said in the last presentation. When you click it, and then you can see that